I'm mute now.
All right, welcome to the 45th episode of the Revolutionary Code, where we bring the truth about how governmental politics actually works in every facet of human existence and how that affects our people, black people here in America. I am your host, Brother Tamani Mwandani out of Houston, Texas. I am the direct revolutionary product of one Cardinal and Bayou Chewy out of the Shrines of the Black Madonna, and the indirect revolutionary product of one Albert B. Clegg, African name Jeramogi Baby Ajiman, the father of liberation theology and the founder of the Shrines of the Black Madonna. I'm also the founder of the Black Gold Nation movement. My co-host, the National Director of Political Strategy and Implementation for the Black Gold Nation movement and the chairman of LACE, Liberation Advocates for Community Empowerment, the intellectual gangster, corporate grassroots revolutionary, and master domino assassin from Shreveport, Louisiana, aka the Boot, Brother Craig D. Lee. Brother Craig, how you doing this evening?
I am doing Ira. Ken and I just came back from a retarded meeting with the NAACP, and it just proves why we got to do grassroots mobilization organization, because that damn show ain't it. But we gotta maneuver with them because partner is the president, so we the best we can.
We want him to watch all episodes, but he might want to skip the beginning of this one, given your description. Okay. So before we get started this evening, I got to share with everybody what we're all about, the Black Gold Nation movement. Our ultimate goal is to put our people in a position by which we can own and control the environment of the spaces where we live. We have come to the conclusion, history has proven, research has shown time and time again, that when other people control the environment where we live, we always lose, period. When we allow other people to control any aspect of that environment, any systems within that environment that other people control, we, black people, always find ourselves on the bottom, be it the educational system, political system, security system, agricultural system, spiritual systems, it doesn't matter. If other people control it, we are at the bottom of it. So, since we no longer want to be at the bottom, since we no longer want to be on the losing side of things, we are trying to bring our people together to find the right people so we can do something with the right people that matters. So what Brother Craig and I are trying to do is identify, organize, connect, and build. We are not here to just inform or educate. We're trying to get you to do something. We want to inform, educate, motivate, mobilize, organize, and build. Every single thing we do is about bringing our people together to find the right people so we can build a nation within this nation moving forward so we can give our children something that matters. Tonight's show title is Shifting the Balance of Power, the Importance, Necessity, and Viability of Grassroots Empowerment. Shifting the Balance of Power, the Importance, Necessity, and Viability of Grassroots Empowerment. Tonight's show is sponsored by Regeneration 180, our youth education and development model. Here in the Black Gold Nation, we fully understand that nothing really matters if we're not preparing our children to take over what we build to the next level, take over what we build to the next level, and what we leave them. So Sister Jennifer Higgins, the National Director of our Youth Education Development Division, is doing just that by helping to prepare our parents who are interested in learning more about homeschooling with a free event she's having next Wednesday, July 28th at 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. She's hosting an online event, a seminar titled Centering Your Child Through Community Schooling. Centering Your Child Through Community Schooling. So if you're interested in learning more, please visit her website at www.regeneration180.org /SEBA, S-E-B-A, www.regeneration180.org /SEBA. The event is free and open to all melanated people who want to learn more. So with that, we're going to jump right into tonight's show. Again, this is our 45th episode, and the title is Shifting the Balance of Power, the Importance and Necessity and Viability of Grassroots Empowerment. So, Brother Craig, we're going to start with the title to make sure everybody's clear and we're on the same page. How do you define power?
As Dr. Wade Noble, our phenomenal African American cultural psychologist, scientist, defines it: the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own. I love that definition, and that's the most profound definition that I've ever heard for the term.
Cool. All right. And can that be shifted to provide or produce a balance? So can power, as you define it, can that be shifted to provide or produce a balance?
Yeah, I mean, being realistic and whatnot, yeah, with a very, very strategic game plan, and we just keep it in context of what we're talking about.
Yep.
As it relates to the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy and the spaces that we live throughout the United States, that can happen at the local level, but we have to be realistic about it. The bulk of what we can control and establish as it relates to our power is really going to be in the cloud after we acquire the necessary resources and political structure in various majority populated African American cities, and then establishing our own direct structure on the outskirts of those areas as we're learning. Then also acquiring probably islands and partnership with some African countries to bring resources to the table. You're frozen. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. You're frozen on my screen.
Okay. I'm not sure if you, because I went out for a second, so I'm not sure if you're done with the question.
Yeah, I'm finished with that.
Okay, cool. Okay. So why is this shift, this balance of power? Why is this shift so important and necessary?
Well, again, when you find reality, and so the reality will always be defined by those who are not rolling with your political philosophy, your economic philosophy, your cultural, all of these particular things. So you have to be able to seize power, go through the process in order to shift it so that you can define a more ethical, and your oppressor, that they should share their power with you, and you're not willing to take it. I mean, that just goes back to the quote that is attributed to Frederick Douglass, where they talk about all of this is a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a man.
Right.
In order to obtain power, you got to be willing to go through struggle.
That's right.
As the quote says, if there's no struggle, there's no progress.
Right.
Those who profess to favor freedom yet deprecate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground.
Right.
They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. This struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical. But guess what?
It will be a struggle. Right.
Power concedes nothing without a demand. Never has, never will. Men may not get all they pay for in this world, but they most certainly will pay for all they get. So see, our people don't understand that. They believe by belly aching and complaining to the power structure that they're going to now say, you know what? I've been doing you Negroes wrong. I'm going to now allow you to start defining reality.
Yeah.
And that's never going to happen. So that's why struggling to obtain power and getting that shift is so paramount.
Right.
If we are really wanting to now define our reality based on our spiritual and cultural perspective.
Okay. Okay. Now, why do you believe that shift is viable or possible? Why do you believe that? Because not everyone does, or their belief is unrealistic. So why do you believe that shift is viable or possible?
Hell, because I'm a goddamn grassroots revolutionary. I'm a grassroots revolutionary. It is in my DNA because I owe a goddamn debt.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've never earned any damn rights on my own, so I got a damn fight.
That's right.
So because I listened to Bob Marley and in his phenomenal song, which he took the words from Emperor Haile Selassie, until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regard to race, there's goddamn a war.
That's right.
So I have to fight because my ancestors positioned me in the game.
That's right.
And it's interesting you asked that question because I was thinking about that today. One of my good colleagues, he and his wife celebrated, I think, 32 years today, and they're good people. And I remember sometimes on Facebook, he'll comment on some of my hardcore posts, and it's just truth. He don't like it, you know. Sometimes, Craig, you can do it differently. You can do it nicely. And it dawned on me, this is a good brother,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a firefighter. I think he still is. He might have retired, but his wife is my classmate sister, older sister, and so it dawned on me based on the question you just asked. What has Brother Jay ever done to earn his comfort?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
What these people really believe that their whole existence is to go to work for white folks.
Yep.
And just follow this nice pattern that's been laid out for them, retire and die.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
But in order for you to have this little comfort, some people had to knuckle up.
That's right.
They wore up.
That's right.
They had to blood up.
Yep.
And we won't even vote. Today, man, the Negro is just so arrogant in his and her individualism. That's why I sent you that tape the other day of Kwame Brown and Tommy Sotomayor.
Right, yeah.
Back and forth about bullshit. About nothing for a goddamn hour.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's right in lines with that screen capture I sent to you and Brother Lloyd about that show the brothers did 9 hours. and Craig, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a mistake. So I clicked on it. That damn thing was 9 hours long.
9 hours, man.
About Boyce Watkins. So I'm like, man, the time we waste.
The time we waste. Now, we gotta communicate. We gotta dialogue.
Sure.
What are we talking about?
Right.
See, that's why when real dialogue is happening, just like we have real dialogue every Thursday night at 9 o'clock, that's why some people who don't understand the process, they'll get agitated and they want to just, man, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? You gotta discuss concepts and plans before you jump out to do. But I get it because either they haven't been involved and they don't understand that you got a plan before you jump out, or they have been involved a little bit and they've seen these types of wasted meetings and time wasted on nothingness. So it's like if they hear some of the things that we're talking about, which are similar to some of the things that some of those other pseudo-intellectual masturbators talk about. Then they get antsy or frustrated and they say, man, it's the same old thing.
Right. And don't have a clue as to what it really is. Because they saw somebody else do some crazy crap. So yeah. All right. So lastly, as it relates to the title, what do you mean by grassroots? What exactly is the grassroots?
Grassroots is a term that describes the majority of individuals in the matrix of the architects and engineers creation, those entities who created the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy. The matrix, the majority of people are at the bottom of the barrel. These are the individuals who are oppressed regardless of ethnicity, but our focus is on our grassroots African-American individuals, African descendants in America. So this is the group of people who are where the rubber meets the road, the ones who eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or syrup sandwiches or, government cheese sandwiches. These are the individuals who are your peasants. These are the ones from an economic standpoint.
Right.
I'm saying those individuals who are most pimped in society. And that's the masses of our folks.
Right.
So when you talk about grassroots, I'm talking primarily about them, but also those of us who are from that environment, but we've elevated to gain some enlightenment, education, some skills, some expertise, some experience, and some discipline that can help our people because we've never forgotten and we're still connected, regardless of our little economic station in life. We know that we can never be free or liberated until our people are. Hence the song by Bob Marley, War. And so that's what the grassroots is, the bottom of the barrel in this capitalistic system. Those who are scraping by, trying to make 15 cents over a dollar, trying to make things last. Those who are the front line in the fight against the architects, engineers, and managers of the system, philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy.
And of course, grassroots are not just melanated people.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, you got grassroots, pale skins, you got grassroots Asians.
Yeah.
Because the game is played throughout the entire world.
Yeah, the system is the system. The matrix is the matrix. Okay. All right. So now I hope everybody understands the title as far as what we want to discuss, and we're clear on that. Now, Brother Craig, you've stated multiple times that contrary to popular belief, our people do not have a lot of problems. We only have two primary problems that we got to deal with, or that affect us. The first one is the philosophy, system, and game of capitalism, white supremacy, and racism, which we really can't do anything about. We don't have that kind of power yet. We have to rely upon our John Brown white brethren to take care of that power on that level. And that leaves us with the second problem that we have, which is empowerment. Our lack of power.
No empowerment.
No empowerment. Our lack of real power makes the first problem a living hell for us because we don't have anything that we can adequately utilize to stop it at this point. So to fundamentally and realistically deal with the second issue, lack of empowerment, we must have people who aren't just activists for us, but who advocate for us.
Yes.
So what's the difference between activism and advocacy?
Great question. Activists basically respond like a firefighter, like a police officer, law enforcement. They respond to situations. They don't prevent, they don't establish a system to eliminate, they respond. And so you hear about George Floyd. Ah, we got to. You hear about a child being sold in sex trafficking. Oh, they're not doing anything to prevent those situations. I had a discussion today with a guy who is interested in running for public office in a few years, and he's good friends with Brother Ken from his childhood. He's a little bit older than Brother Ken, but he believes that goddamn video cameras will prevent crime. And so yesterday, I sent it to him today, but the crime happened yesterday. A brother at this convenience store here in Shreveport was gunned down to money at 10:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Shot right in front of the damn store, in the damn head. Okay? In the damn head. And so I texted the brother who wants to run for office, and I say, brother, do you see this case analysis? And the dude is still saying he don't give a damn what I say. Work. Video camera's gonna work. And I'm sitting up here like, listen, brother, that's not going to happen. I'm showing you that because these people are spiritually and culturally bankrupt, they lack ethics and morality. So they don't give a damn about being on camera.
That's right.
Last Monday, the body of Shamia Little was found in a business parking area, wooded, grassy area. Their cameras all a goddamn round, but they still dumped her body there. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you don't understand that you have to maneuver on the prevention side.
Right.
Okay, so you say, well, damn, what is the difference? Okay, so now the advocate, which I am, I now make recommendations to prevent the goddamn murder from happening. Well, how do we do that? Well, I can't tell you the full-scale game plan, because the bottom line is some of these Negroes are going to have to be put to sleep. Period.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you believe that you can negotiate, because these people, a lot of them are domestic terrorists against our people.
That's right.
Period.
Yep.
They are domestic terrorists, and they have to. I love the United States position on terrorism.
We don't negotiate.
Don't negotiate with their punk ass.
Yeah.
And so this is where we have to go. So the advocate is the prevention entity. The advocate is the entity that comes up with the plan to prevent, to establish, to move things forward. The activist responds, the advocate prepares, the advocate sets things into motion. And that's the big difference. So it's like an advocate is like a lobbyist. You see? The elected officials don't know about certain potential legislation that certain entities, whether they be corporate or individuals, want to get passed. So the lobbyist advocates for the issue to the people who they need to vote and get this stuff passed at the local, state, federal, and international level. That's what an advocate does.
Okay.
The activist responds after legislation is passed, and they find out everybody's required to carry car insurance. Oh, that's wrong. Oh. And then say, well, it's going to be 10, 20, 10. 10,000, 20,000, 10,000.
Right.
They stop complaining. Now, the legislators who are now approached by advocates, lobbyists, hey, man, we need to raise that to 25, 50, 25. Mm-hmm. Legislation vote. Now, the advocate has done their job. They help the insurance company make more money. Now the activists come, that's wrong. That's the difference between activists and advocates. A prime example, one last example. I remember years ago, my car was in the shop. It's about 2000. My car was in the shop, so I caught the bus here in Shreveport to city council meeting. I was there for a whole nother issue. Mm-hmm. So we're talking 21 years ago. And so while I was there, the issue of increasing bus fares was on the table. To my knowledge, Shreveport is 60% African American. Mm-hmm. 99% of those patrons who ride the public transport mm-hmm. look like you and I.
Yeah.
Not a one Negro was there to advocate against the fares being increased.
Right.
But there was an old white lady who rode the bus. She was there. So she got him to table the issue. Now, tabling don't mean really anything. That just was kind of showing her a little superficial respect because they were going to pass it any damn way. Mm-hmm. So, but before they passed it at the next meeting, I'm riding the bus. So I'm telling the people, hey man, y'all need to come to the next city council meeting because they are going to be passing legislation that's going to impact your pocket.
That's right.
The fare is going to go from $1 to $1.50 per day. Mm-hmm. It's money, not one Negro who paid that $1.50. Not one Negro showed up. Not one. The old white lady was there again. So boom, they raised the fare. Now, there were no activists out, rabble around. They don't know about those things. They took down to focus on that. But I was still riding the bus and I'm hearing people, man, that's goddamn shame. That's goddamn shame. They raised goddamn fare. Mm-hmm. Okay? But that's what activists do versus advocates. Advocates set the table. They push agendas before actions are taken. Activists respond after actions are actually taken.
So why do you think we have so many more activists as opposed to advocates?
Because the majority of people out here don't have a clue about how this works. Because in order to be an advocate, you got to know how to think. You got to know how to critically think. You got to know how the game works. You got to understand the philosophy and the system that is in front of you so that you can now put agendas together in order to now maneuver not only for yourself and your immediate and extended family, but for your people. So that's where we're at. The majority of people don't have a clue. So all they know how to do is emotionally respond when something happens that they don't like, or something happens that they perceive is a major injustice. The police brutality have been going on before
George
Floyd,
for real.
Philando Castile up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay. But you get these things. So now, when the emotionalism dies down, they just go back. They just wait the Negro out.
Yeah.
Go back, and it's like it's there.
So, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's obviously some kind of issue because Mike is waiting. He's in the waiting room.
Oh, really? I don't. Whenever I click on my window, it freezes. So
Yeah,
I don't want to do anything that's going to cause a disruption in the connection. So
yeah, you're still frozen
yeah,
on my.
as soon as I get a chance, as soon as my window unfreezes, I'll I have to let him in, but I don't want to click on it right now.
Okay.
You've already. Can you still hear me, Craig?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've already begun to answer this next question, but I want to make sure that I get your complete answer. The next question was, which you started to answer, what makes one a good advocate, or how does one become a good advocate?
So it again goes back to your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and for a grassroots advocate, brother, it really starts with those 6 pillars of empowerment, and namely the first three:
Yep.
your spiritual, cultural, and educational foundation. You got to be rooted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to be rooted, because you can be an advocate like Jesse Jackson, like Al Sharpton, and pimp the people.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like you're advocating for the people, because they do both advocacy and activism, but they're pimping, right? And so you can be very effective at pimping people, or you can be very effective at trying to empower people. But that comes from your DNA makeup, your genetic and epigenetic makeup, and what you actually embrace. If you embrace spirituality and organic culture, you're going to be focused on advocating from an empowerment standpoint. If you're rolling with religiosity and subculture, you're going to, in most instances, get caught up in pretending to advocate for the people, but you really are pimping the folks.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, that comes from your DNA, your genetics, your epigenetic makeup, and whether or not you're actually rolling with spirituality and organic culture. Because you're not rolling with those two things, and you don't have some righteous ancestors who were revolutionaries in your bloodline, it's going to be easy for you to get sidetracked.
Yeah.
But if you're rolling as a righteous grassroots advocate, you got to be able to study. You got to be able to number one, be a entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't do grassroots advocacy and work a job.
That's right.
It's impossible.
Right.
You got to be willing to sacrifice your life. Most people are not willing to die for a cause.
That's right.
Martin Luther King said it best: a man who was not willing to die for something ain't fit to live.
Right.
So 26 years ago, I asked myself the question, what am I willing to die for? And it was easy for me. I was willing to die for the same things my freedom fighting ancestors were willing to die for: the liberation, empowerment, and advancement of my people. And so all of those things, make for a powerful entity to now embrace grassroots advocacy. And as you're pursuing enlightenment and empowerment and whatnot, you're opening yourself up to be a life student. You got to always learn,
Mm-hmm.
because you will never know everything. So you have to always be willing to learn,
Yeah.
and stand solid on your square. And when you can do that and maneuver, you're copacetic. Um, Hold on, one other thing. I gave you those 6 things that I focused on, those 6 elements before I take a position on any issue or ask any question. I told you, boom, I focus everything on truth, reality, history, fact, critical thinking, and logic before I take a position on anything.
Okay.
And so all of these things come together: me playing dominoes, me analyzing various movies and books and documentaries. All of that comes together with my curriculum And then you combine that with my bloodline. Now you have an entity that is a dedicated, effective, efficient grassroots advocate. And it wouldn't matter about the goddamn numbers that you have to advocate against or fight against because the creator is rolling with you.
Right. Right. So what is a liberation entertainer, and is that different than an activist?
So a liberation entertainer is a person who sells the illusion of empowerment, freedom, liberation of our people, but they're actually bought and paid for by white folks, by outside forces that do not represent our interests. So in politics, we have this concept called political theater.
Right.
And so the individuals are performing a role. And so a liberation entertainer, this is a term that I got from Dr. John Henry Clark because the term that I coined was romantic revolutionary. Like they romanticize our revolution. They are nothing but pseudo intellectuals, pseudo woke people perpetrating a fraud. So when I heard Dr. John Henry Clark reference, he referenced Minister Farrakhan actually as a liberation entertainer, I say, man, I like that term much better. And so when you look at people like Jesse and Al and a lot of those folks, you now have to discern, are they liberation entertainers? Or are they grassroots empowerment advocates? And it's pretty easy to be able to analyze this because you got to analyze them based on what? The 3 R, their resume,
Their references, and their receipts. That's right.
And so when you can't, if you've been telling me about, hey man, we're gonna build a country and build a nation, and you got 50 and 100,000 people, and you all have had these numbers for almost 100 years. A community that you own, but you're still saying the same rhetoric.
That's right.
That saying 40 years ago. You're a liberation entertainer. You're not a grassroots empowerment advocate.
That's right.
And unfortunately, our people, again, because they lack the ability to critically think, they don't know how to analyze that. Umar Johnson, liberation entertainer. Tariq Nasheed, liberation entertainer. You see? Because they know the people, there's an African proverb that says, be skilled in speech, so you will succeed. The tongue of a man is his sword, and effective speech is stronger than all fighting. Now, it didn't say be skilled in righteous speech. It just said be skilled in speech.
Right.
So I used to ask myself, how do the people don't get this? Because these folks are liberation. They are highly skilled.
That's right.
Highly intelligent, well-spoken liberation entertainers.
That's right.
And so they know it's just rhetoric. They know it's just rhetoric. And so when something doesn't happen, they can always go back to the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy, which is real, but they're using it as an excuse because they know that they've never attempted to really do anything.
Yeah.
And this is where we're at. And those people are cancerous to our folks because they get the majority of people who would be interested in wanting to do something. They keep them in a very idle and non-functioning manner.
Right. Right. So would you say
that's what makes it so difficult?
So would you say the liberation entertainer is more dangerous than the melanated Negro savage because the entertainer can touch so many more people and lull them to sleep? So would you say they are more dangerous than the savage?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because the liberation entertainer can tap into the minds of potential grassroots hybrid black, grassroots black folks who are ready to make some things happen.
Mm-hmm.
That rhetoric captures their ear.
Yeah.
And so they'll be, doing all this other stuff and not concentrating or focusing on what they need to do. They're gonna automatically not roll with the savage, killing and stealing and robbing and raping. You see, they may not know or be a little afraid to deal with them, but they know not to roll with that foolishness.
Right.
Yeah. The liberation entertainer is far more dangerous than the savage.
Right. But they both have to be dealt with pretty much the same way.
You got to deal with that liberation entertainer, but
that's right.
You have to deal with that person far more wisely than the savage, the Negro savage, because the liberation entertainer will be members of your churches, of your fraternities, your sororities, your Masonic groups. So now, as they ingratiate themselves in these organizations, guess what now happens? There's a new form of politics that is created.
Right.
And we call that identity politics.
That's right.
Relationship politics, personality politics. So now when members of organizations identify with them, and now you mess around and go direct frontal assault at them, the people who you're trying to help, save them from the liberation entertainer, they're going to attack you because they believe that this guy or this female is because they like them.
That's right.
Because I know their mother. Because I went to school with them. Because he fixed my flat tire. Because he paid my mama's water bill. Because he bought us a turkey.
Yeah.
So the liberation entertainer is a pimp.
Right.
A psychotic influencer and manipulator of people.
So we briefly had this conversation. Well, it was so brief. I'm not even sure what I call it a conversation. It was just a quick back and forth. But do you think, given everything you just said about the liberation entertainer and the dangers of those people, should there be a seventh faction?
Well, the liberation entertainer falls into the faction of the melanated bourgeoisie Negro.
Okay.
The pseudo melanated bourgeoisie Negro. That entity is going to fall in one of those factions. Now, I will say this: we may need to create another one to some degree, because Umar is not melanated bourgeoisie Negro or a pseudo bourgeoisie. He doesn't fit there. So there is a possibility for us to create that category, because this is a melanated person of African descent is skilled at manipulating and playing on the mind of the masses. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. That probably would be.
Yeah. So there has to be something on the level of an intellectual terrorist.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah, you terrorizing the intellect and you playing on the people's emotions, which is probably far more deadly than somebody shooting a gun.
Yeah, and what they're and the whole thing is about the acquisition of money, status, and materialism. That's what the whole
and
so that they can get sex, so that they can
that's right.
Have the perception of power, prestige. All of that is the overall riding goal.
Yeah.
But it's damn sure not to help to empower the people for goddamn stuff.
Right, and it's sad and it's telling that, and I am absolutely blown away at there is so much proof out there about Umar Johnson. That school ain't ever gonna come because it's not about a school. But
No.
there are people still giving to this brother, and it's obvious he's full of crap.
But it goes back to what I said in terms of the African proverb: be skilled.
That's right.
in speech.
And he is.
So you will see the tongue of a man is his sword, and effective speech is stronger than all fighting.
Yeah.
So the people know that the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy, racism is real, but they don't know how complex it is because this cat is working for the philosophy, the system, and the game.
Right.
And so the most clever way for a liberation entertainer to work is to be articulate and well-read in a lot of the history
Yes,
of our culture.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yep.
But all you got to do is analyze their resume, their references, and their receipts. It's real goddamn simple.
Got it.
When I first met Umar in 2013,
Come on.
he didn't know who I was in Dallas, Texas. So when I asked him basic questions about the sustainability of the school, how he was going to leverage the budget, where the school was going to be, why are you talking about a private school when these poor people are not going to be able to afford this versus a charter school? All the answers he gave was bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They were all bullshit. But because he knows the people don't know how to think, the majority of people don't know how to think.
Yeah.
So they're going to give him an out. They've been conditioned by the architects of the game from a religious standpoint. So he's pimping through the liberation entertainment genre.
Yep.
Right? And that's the game.
Yep. Okay.
It's pretty clever. Now, at least with Tariq Nasheed,
yeah, the product.
Low-hanging fruit hustle. He does a low-hanging fruit hustle to produce intellectual property that people can see. You know, did you know African history, blase, Hidden Color 1, and it's cool because most of the people don't know that. Yeah. Right? But now you got to ask Tariq, okay, now you got millions of dollars. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. I'm just making more goddamn documentaries, right? Not a goddamn thing.
That's right.
The whole thing is, what's his name? Dr. Michael Eric Dyson coined the damn term. He was the first person that I heard coin the term. Intellectual capitalism.
Okay.
Intellectual capitalism. That's all these people got. So you got regular entertainers in sports,
that's right,
music, movie. So remember what I told you. The whole game is based, the number one weapon that the architects, the engineers, and the managers of the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy, racism use. Their number one weapon is not an atomic bomb or nuclear bomb or some kind of gun. It's entertainment.
Right.
And for every want or necessity or need, for every want, necessity, or need, you ain't got to believe me, just go analyze. For every want, necessity, or need, want, desire, or need, they have an entertainment brand for that. So sports entertainment, movie entertainment, television entertainment, literary entertainment, culinary entertainment, religious entertainment, government politics entertainment.
Yeah.
In it?
Yeah.
They have, because they want to position the people who they can control. So with the liberation entertainer, the white folks are controlling them, but it's a different form of entertainment because you got to give the people the illusion that liberation is being fought for when really ain't nothing being fought.
Right. They're fighting for your dollar and they're trying to get it from you. So yeah, I can dig it. All right. So you've given us a very clear understanding of what makes a good advocate and how one can become a good advocate. Now, what must we advocate for? How can the balance of power be shifted, and what's at stake if we don't? What do we advocate for, and how can that balance of power be shifted, and what's at stake if we don't become advocates to make for that shift?
You're advocating for programs, projects that fall underneath each category of the 6 pillars of empowerment.
All right.
Everything that's in the 6 pillars of empowerment is everything that any individual needs and any community needs to control its destiny.
Right.
Spirituality, organic, right culture, education, economic, socioeconomic, and politics.
Right.
So you're advocating for those particular things. Now, who are you advocating to? Number one, you're advocating to grassroots people,
right,
to get mobilized and organized to now control their destiny. All right, because like the meeting I had today, the case I picked up a case that got to work on. One of my ex-girlfriends has a niece who is incarcerated for a crime that she didn't commit. So my ex-girlfriend's aunt called me, but the girl has been in jail for 7 years. They just now reaching out to me.
Wow.
They didn't know. And man, Tamani, when I discussed this case with you, it's so crazy. And they were shocked because they only went like a few minutes into it. And I just asked certain specific questions. And it's like, babe, this is all politics. Like, but Craig, see, what you got to understand, listen. You all selected the wrong attorney on the front end. But Craig, she wasn't running for, I said, sister, you just told me that the sister was running against a Negro for judge in 2014 in the goddamn year that your daughter's case had come up.
Wow.
And so I pulled up the stats.
Yep.
Because she got 30% of the vote against a Negro by the name of Robert Johnson, who got 70%. So I said, listen, let me explain how this works. She wasn't the designated candidate, but she ran. So she only got 30% of the vote. You said, well, what does that have to do with her daughter? Every goddamn.
That's right. That's right.
Now they're going to make an example
yep.
out of anybody who comes in front of that judge
yep.
who was a traffic court judge. Get this now, 2 criminal court judges ruled that there was no evidence to try her for second-degree cruelty to a juvenile. But they moved this guy who was getting ready to retire up to handle this case, and he was a traffic court judge. But guess who he also was? The brother of one of the most powerful senator in Northeast Louisiana, who had already gone to goddamn jail. Get it? So, and all this was because the lawyer that you all selected in 2011 didn't tell you about her plan to run for judge in 2014.
Wow.
But guess what? They wouldn't have been able to make that connection.
That's right.
Any way because they're not in the game.
Yep.
But I made that connection quickly.
Wow.
Right? So this thing is so many damn layers. It's like, so she got first time ever being charged or convicted with anything at the age of, she's now 38. She's been in for 7 years. So she was 31. This shit started in 2011 when she was 28.
Wow.
A nice sister. That girl has been in jail now in South Louisiana for 7 years for a crime she didn't commit. So now I got to jump on the goddamn case to help her because her family didn't understand the game.
Wow.
And I told her mother today, I said, I know this is very complicated, but Craig, God don't like it. Baby, this ain't got nothing to do with no goddamn God.
Wow. So if so she really don't have a clue.
No, she literally, bro.
Wow.
And they out of about from the sounds of it, they out of about 30, 40,000 fighting for her to come home. But now you come get an advocate.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not about it. And literally, this is my godmother's great granddaughter. I used to date my godmother's granddaughter, and this is her, my godmother's great granddaughter, and I'm just now finding out about this.
Wow.
10 years later. So the criminal injustice, judicial injustice, prison reform is not my primary work.
Mm-hmm.
My primary work is grassroots empowerment advocacy, but this is my secondary stuff. But I allow my guys who are the primary advocates to lead the way on this. But every now and then I swoop in when the case is right, and we can make some things happen.
Right, I got you. Okay, so quick sidebar. How would you define the term or the word enemy? How do you define that?
Any punk ass Negro that's or other ethnic group that ain't about the business of the liberation, empowerment, and advancement of grassroots people. And I say grassroots people because not just our people, but grassroots people of any ethnic group. So if you ain't about that life, if you're about the advocacy of the philosophy, the system, and the game of capitalistic white supremacy, or you are an idle Negro who don't want to do a goddamn thing but focus on your I, my, me desires and wants, you're a goddamn enemy.
Gotcha. Okay, so you said what makes a good advocate or to become a good advocate, one must be willing to study and learn. Excellent point, great point. And that study would of course include the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy racism, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, would you consider that to be our first set of enemies, the philosophy, system, and game, the architects of that? Would it be the second? So wait, let me finish. Would that be the first enemy? Or would it be the second enemy behind those that look like us who aren't like us? Or would it be third and our first enemy being ourselves, and that we don't want to develop our mind? So how do you rank the enemy structure? Is it the philosophy, system, and game, those that look like us who aren't us, or is it our own lack of desire to develop our minds?
So the architects, the engineers, and managers of the philosophy, system, and game of capitalism, white supremacy, racism, that's our primary enemy. Because remember, that's our first problem. That's our
right.
Because we don't want to.
Got it.
So yeah, they are our primary enemy now, but they're indirect.
Mm-hmm.
That's indirect. They're our first and primary enemy, but they're indirect in that we cannot directly shut that down.
Got it.
So now we get to our second problem, no empowerment. So who is our enemy there? That's where those entities who look like us and us come into play. Now, us, I would pretty much say those of us who have the desire, the will to do better, it would be on us before we even get to the blockers, because you got to look at this from a football standpoint. You got to look at the architects, the engineers, and the managers of the philosophy, system, game of capitalistic white supremacy as the skill players on the offensive side of a football team.
Okay.
So that's your quarterback, your tight end, your running backs, your wide receiver. Okay?
Okay.
in order to disrupt any play that they have and defeat them, you got to go through their damn offensive line. Mm-hmm. The offensive line, those are the sellout Negroes, the savage Negroes, the bourgeoisie, the pseudo bourgeoisie, the liberation entertainers. That's the line. Okay?
Okay.
So, but in order to get through that line, in order to disrupt that play, it depends on what we do in practice to prepare for the game.
Okay.
So we got to have our playbook. We got to watch film. We got to study film.
That's right.
From past wars and games and battles. So you have to be willing to be open to learn.
Right.
Because if you don't do film, if you're not physically fit, if you're not all of these things that we got to do. So yeah, that makes us the enemy amongst ourselves. You got to defeat that entity in you that wants to make you lazy,
right,
and make you not want to do.
Right.
You got to defeat that entity inside of you, that unconscious part of you, that lower nature part of you. You got to defeat that.
Right.
Prepare yourself in order to deal with that offensive juggernaut, because you're not going to get to the quarterback until you deal with these Negroes.
That's right.
But you got to deal with your own mind first and prepare, and that's why we keep on losing.
Yeah.
Because we see the damn offensive line, it's like, hey, man, they here to block your ass.
Right. Yeah.
They here to make sure you don't get to the quarterback.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and I think you just answered this next question, but I got to ask because it's on the list. So why is it so vitally important that we understand all three of those levels of enemies: the philosophy, system, and game, the six factions, those that look like us, who aren't us, and the power and value of developing our own minds? Why is it so important that we understand all three?
Because this world is a multi-dimensional reality.
There you go.
It's not one dimension.
There you go.
It's a multi-dimensional reality. And so if you can't analyze this on a multi-dimensional level, hey man, just kill yourself now. Just kill yourself now. Because don't get out here. Don't get out here believing that you're going to do something on a one-dimensional level. It don't work that way, brother. And,
right.
and that's why I gave you the example of the family today. My godmother's
right.
Family. Because they were just rolling out of one-dimensional.
Yeah. Okay, so
they was like, damn, they really do that? Damn, they do that too? Damn, they do that too? Damn, they played us like that?
Isn't that crazy? And been black their whole life. All right, so we are already over the time. So answer this next question quickly, and it's just one that came up. You've talked about repeatedly your genetics, your bloodline, who you came from, and of course that being a part of who you are right now. With that understanding, if a child does not have the revolutionary bloodline, the advocacy bloodline, or they don't come from that kind of gene pool, can you raise an advocate to be a righteous advocate if they don't have that?
Yeah, because that's where the spirituality and
right.
the organic culture comes in. The Creator can transform.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, there was a guy, and I'm glad you asked this question. There was a guy, I remember his name is Ricardo Davis. He's one of my mentees now. And I remember when he come to my high school and he wanted to play snare drum. And he couldn't play worth a damn. I mean, he was sorry as hell. And I trained him. I think the first year he had cymbal. But I trained him. He got better. And I forgot I was away. And by the time I got back to Shreveport, on a check out the band. His senior year, become section leader. And when look here, man, somebody, that boy had become so cold blooded, like, damn. Well, not only did he become section leader, he's one of the few students, because I turned my scholarships to Grambling, Southern, Texas Southern down. I was the top percussionist coming out of Shreveport Caddo in 1985. So from 1983 to 1985, I was the top percussionist. So I turned all my stuff down.
Okay.
But for those who didn't have the academic standing that I had, they could use this music scholarship just like athletes use their scholarships to go and get their education. This dude ended up using his music scholarship to go to Grambling. Man, he became section leader at Grambling. And then when he graduated, he started working at a bookstore, managing that. Now he's a manager at Burlington, but he's been mentoring all these years students in percussion, just like I taught him, but he's doing it on a whole nother level.
Right.
Right now, he's the goddamn assistant band director at Grambling State University over percussion. Ricardo Kirk Davis, somebody who couldn't even goddamn play snare drum. So I give you that story to say, yes, it's possible if you're trained and they're willing to dedicate themselves to practicing correctly every day and making that commitment. Hell yeah, we can train them up.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So next question, and then we have the last wrap up. So as it relates to understanding these three levels of enemy, you and Brother LeBron unfortunately have something in common. Two things actually. Yeah, Brother LeBron has was accused or is being accused of stealing money from a former WNBA player. Wait a minute. And trafficking her in the process. Now, of course, that story is probably is going to fall by the wayside because it makes absolutely no sense. Because I think LeBron is on track to become either the first NBA or the first professional athlete to become a billionaire. So why he would steal money from anybody to make any sense? So while your billions are also in the making, that you guys have that in common, you've had your own set of issues with people trying to destroy you and your name and assassinate your character. So tell us about your personal battles with one melanated female in particular who's trying to character assassinate, and how that ties into always being on your game, standing on your square, as you just said, not having any baggage people can use, and knowing who your enemies are. So bring all that home for us as it relates to understanding how all this stuff works, because all of it works together.
Oh yeah. So we go back to 1997 or 1996. Childhood partner of mine. We were at a club. He threatened to kill me. I snatched his punk ass and kind of jammed him up, and he got scared. And so I left the club, and I called my partners to apologize, and they were like, "Man, we understand." He said, "But that dude called the police," and so I didn't think nothing about it, So year passed, and I just came back from a business trip. I'm at my apartment, and then there's a knock on the door, and I'm like, "Who is it?" Shreveport Police. Are you Craig Lee? Because now by now I'm 2 years into being the troublemaker. And so this partner of mine, his uncle was city councilman at the time, and his other uncle through adoption, but his sisters were biologically related to the family. One of the big five melanated preachers in Shreveport. So based on who he was connected with and based on who I was, I get arrested. The charge was property damage. And they say, the dude said, I beat him up, snatched his gold chain, ripped his shirt. Now I had just launched my first business, which was marketing financial consulting business, and so now in the state of Louisiana, because he said this was like $1,500. Anything over $1,500 is a felony. I mean, over $500 is a felony. Mm-hmm. So we're talking now. I can't even make money selling my financial services and my other stuff. So this thing went on for over a year and a half, from 97 to 98. I was found not guilty, but I lost over a couple $100,000. I learned. I'm like, oh shit, this is how simple it is to get caught up. Hey, Negro can just lie.
Yeah.
And then go to the police because he forgot when we were children, I was 19-0-1 against his age, right? So fast forward 10 years later, another city councilman, this time it's a city councilman female, she says she's gonna take me out. So she lies and says I threatened to kill her. And I'm like, huh? So I started getting calls from the police. Now they knew not to just, because now I'm deep in the game now. I'm 12 years in the game as a troublemaker.
Yeah.
So now they call me, because the first time it wasn't no calling. I was guilty, and then I had to prove that I was innocent. Mm-hmm. So now they call me. Hey man, we're not even investigating. We know this is bull crap. To money, I'm telling you, I'm on Channel 3, ABC, NBC. Everybody calling. Craig, do you have a comment? Councilwoman Baldwin say you threatened to kill her. And I'm like, what in the hell? So I'm setting all this up to get to this particular point. To money, I had gone through this already.
Yeah.
Now, I knew that you can't have no vices. You can't have no drug vices, no gambling vices, no alcoholism, no sex vices. You can't. When you playing this game the way I'm playing it, you got to be straight up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I won that particular battle. As a matter of fact, she called the case off. She's dead now. And Creator bless her soul, because she did apologize. And this is how I ended up launching, getting the money to launch my CC Antoine birthday celebration, in celebration of our third African-American lieutenant governor in the state. So now, fast forward now, 14 years later, these crazy females who ain't, read my resume, ain't did the research, now they want to say, oh, Craig has threatened us our lives. And if you feel threatened by him, sign this petition. They don't understand. I like all of that smoke.
That's right.
I like all that smoke, because now when we go, because I'm going to get the list of females and I'm going to sue them for defamation.
That's right.
I want them to bring this to trial. Just like with Councilwoman Bowman, they called that case off a day or 2 days before the trial. I said, hell no, let's go to trial. She said I threatened to kill her. Man, my lawyer was like, man, you gonna own the damn city. I said, they're gonna call it out. And they did. And these chicks, I'm gonna have to show them. What is now going on, brother, is a push to recruit Negro females into this cracker feminism deal.
Okay.
That's what's going on with the Negro Black Lives Matter. That's what's going on with Kaepernick, with his girlfriend. All this ain't nothing but a game.
Yep.
And so now what they do is recruit unconscious males into the game with this foolishness, respect and protect the Black woman. Well, first and foremost, if you go to the book of Proverbs, the 31st book of Proverbs, and that deals with who can find a virtuous woman. In the first 3 verses, the King Lemuel, is being given instructions from a wise person. Mm-hmm. But the wise person is not his father, not his grandfather, not his uncle, not a wise man saved. but it's his mother. And you go read those scriptures tonight. But they go something like this. What, my son, and what? Son of my vow, son of my womb. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways unto that which destroys kings. The first 9 verses of that 31st book of Proverbs is for the king, how he needs to conduct himself. And it starts with understanding the difference between female and woman. Mm-hmm. Because see, a woman would never try to get a brother off his post, number one, and a woman would never try to frame a brother who is on his square that's about the business of empowerment.
Right.
But when you're a clout chaser, when you're Uncle Tom, when you're a slave, you'll do anything for these white folks.
That's right.
But I love it because I got over the situation in 1997. It cost me a couple $100,000. Mm-hmm. It cost my mother's best friend. She called my mother. She stopped speaking to my mama for some years. She said, George Craig has gone too damn far now. and what this showed me was that the Negro, this is why entertainment is so powerful. Because what people see on that goddamn television, hear on that radio, and see on this social media, mm-hmm. Man, the vast majority of these people believe this without even thinking that of the other sides to this equation.
Right. Right.
Okay? And so you gotta be about your business because they will come. So when I saw this thing with LeBron James and I saw the females come for me, I was like, damn, LeBron, LeBron.
Okay. All right. You get one takeaway from tonight's show, Brother Craig, for everybody, as it relates to shifting the balance of power, the importance, necessity, and viability of grassroots empowerment. So you get one takeaway for everybody to have to keep for the rest of their lives. What would that one takeaway be as it relates to tonight's show topic?
You got to tap in to learning your purpose in life. And that comes from the acquisition of those 6 pillars of empowerment. And if you embrace those 6 pillars and the Creator blesses you to learn your macro and your micro life purpose, mm-hmm. you can now start to advocate and do the right things to help liberate, empower, and advance our people. So that would be the one thing. Tap into those 6 pillars, unlock, unleash, and activate your third eye so that you can learn your purpose in life.
All right, cool. All right. Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do the Q&A because if I click the wrong thing, my screen might freeze. So we're going to just go ahead. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and close it out. So is there anything you want to say in closing before we end the show tonight?
Oh, no. I mean, just thank everybody. I know Dr. Jones and a few other people watching by way of Facebook because they couldn't get in. So, right. But needless to say, as always, the information that I'm able to disseminate to everybody, this is coming straight up from 26 years of work here in the city of Shreveport, and we're finally making some inroads. And I just thank everybody for participating, and we just keep on learning and growing.
All right, amen. So with that, always remember 2 things. No one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely, always remember that nothing is more sacred than the liberation, the empowerment, the salvation, and the freedom of Black people. So with that, everybody have a good night. Thank you very much. God bless, and we'll see y'all next Thursday.
All right.
Peace.